Let's abandon a culture where everyone has to be managed and controlled all the time. You see, the goal is not to eliminate conflict. The goal is to make conflict productive. Organizational conflict that allows the congregation or people in it to grow, that solves problems more effectively and counterbalances the inertia that most congregations develop. That kind of conflict is purposeful conflict. It's worth the bother. It gets somewhere. Purposeful organizational conflict contributes to helping people examine what they take for granted, things that might need to be done in new ways. If there's no dissatisfaction at all in a congregation, the congregation's dead. One of the tasks of your congregational council during this time is to build a new decision-making structure that will foster productive conflict. Many congregational conflicts are not about issues themselves, but about how the issues are dealt with. Again, it's an act of self-definition. It's healthy to have clear, freely negotiated public agreements for how we'll do business and how we will disagree. And this kind of agreement may include several dimensions, such as agreed upon procedures for initiating change in the congregation, clarity about who makes what kind of decision and when, what are the powers entrusted to the congregation's membership, what are the powers entrusted to the congregational council and other boards and committees and work groups, what powers are delegated to church staff, whether they're paid or volunteer, and what powers and responsibilities belong to individual members. What are the procedures for dealing with grievances, member to member, member to staff, and for groups within the congregation? Are there periodic gatherings where members and leaders can define themselves and their positions without any votes being taken or judgments being rendered? Do you get together every so often just to talk about the church? Are there clear and predetermined procedures for addressing conflict as it arises with the goal of lowering anxiety and conflict level? Is there a clear and frequent affirmation of the value of each person in the relationship in the church? Are there clear and frequent affirmations of the good of the order? It's a big list, but we're talking about changing a whole congregational culture. I suspect that some of it's already written into your congregational constitution and bylaws and continuing resolutions, but still it's going to take some work. Well, let's review once more where we are. First, we slow the disease process in the congregation. Second, we learn about the real nature of congregational conflict. Third, we begin to change the culture of congregational conflict. And fourth, we take steps to unstick the system. We're getting to somewhere between steps 3 and 4 at this point in our life together. Now, when the system begins to unstick, then we can make plans for future mission and service through the congregation. And I'll work with you and your leaders on such plans in the coming months. And then, finally, we'll design safeguards to keep the system from being stuck again in the near future. We began our time together talking about the push-me-pull-you. It is likely that you're part of a push-me-pull-you church, a congregation that has too many minds. Or maybe your congregation makes the problems that push-me-pull-you look small. Together, we're seeking the mind of Christ. So in closing, I commend you the words of Paul in Philippians chapter 4, verses 12 and 13. I know, he writes, what it is to have little, and I know what it is to have plenty. In any and all circumstances, I have learned the secret of being well fed and of going hungry, of having plenty and of being in need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. So can we, in the name and by the power of Christ. Amen.